How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome to another episode of Geeking Out, where we basically discuss everything nerd and geek related. I am joined here by Ken and Ash of the Sledgehammer Horror Podcast and another segment for Knowing That Content Creator. How you guys doing tonight?
We're good.
We're doing great. Thank you for having us on, man. This is super exciting.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you for coming on. So basically, what this segment is like, how long you've been doing this, what got you into it, advice, experiences, and all that stuff. So to begin, what made you want to come up with the name for Sledge Horror, the Sledgehammer Horror Podcast?
Actually, our friend Bill came up with the name. Like, our last name is Sledge. And we like horror, so he was like, "Hey, Sledgehammer Horror, that sounds pretty cool." And Ken was like, "Why didn't I think of that?" Like, that's
the
a good
initial
name.
the initial name was Ken's Horror Corner.
Yeah.
And
Sledgehammer Horror is so much better.
I mean, and plus sledgehammers are used in horror films.
Right. So,
and I at the very beginning it was just me. And I'm really glad that we didn't stick with the name Ken's Horror Corner, because Ashley is such a crucial part of what Sledgehammer Horror is.
that's true. It would have been like Ken and Ashley's Horror Corner.
Yeah.
And you would have had to slip that in like later on. Yeah.
So I'm glad that we ended up, Bill came up with the name change. And because Ashley is such a crucial part of the writing process of Sledgehammer Horror. I legit could not do a lot of what I do without Ashley. So I'm really glad that we changed the name to what we did.
Yeah, I definitely don't like to be in front. I didn't really like to be in front of the camera. I was more like, I'll do the behind the scenes stuff. And he kind of pulled me out of my shell a little bit and was like, do this stuff with me. So I was like, I'll try it.
She started throwing out these ideas to me, and I was like, okay, I'll do that, and I'll do that if you do it with me.
Yeah.
Like, if you come out in front of the camera with me, that's the only way I'll agree to do these. And she did it. So I kept up my end of the bargain, and those are probably some of my favorite things that we do.
Yeah, it's fun.
How long has it been since you first started this podcast series, when it was originally Ken's Corner?
About a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was right around like when we were quarantined and we really didn't have a lot.
I think October would be our second birthday.
Yeah.
Well, that fits, because that's when this podcast will be coming out. Will be in October, which it works.
Woo-hoo!
Nice.
I mean, yours and Brood Images podcast will be coming out around that, because Halloween.
Nice.
It fits. I feel like
it does fit.
I feel like it fits. So, do you remember what it was like when you did the very first episode before you changed the name to Sledgehammer Horror?
It sucked.
It's kind of cringy.
Yeah. Like, I go back and watch my first horror movie I did with myself, and it's just so god awful. But like, there's certain experiences about even that like kind of dragged me into what we do. And I've gotten to meet so many amazing friends because of Sledgehammer Horror. And like, I look back on the early episodes and I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah, but it's still fun to look back at them. Like, this is where we started. Everybody starts at the bottom, right?
I'm sure that in 2 years from now, we'll look back at some of our episodes and I'll be like, ooh.
I hope not.
I mean, there's as a content creator myself, there's those old episodes I've done by myself. Like, yeah, I'm glad I have people to do it with me now, because doing it by yourself, it's just it takes a lot out of you, and it's just you don't feel like into it as much.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
What was the very first horror movie that you covered for your my first horror movie episode?
House. 1986. That's my first horror movie. That's my favorite horror movie. It's just, I feel like it's just such a fantastic movie from front to back. It has literally everything. It's a love story. It's a horror story. It's an action story. It's a Vietnam War story. It's a missing child story. Like, there's so much that goes into making that movie, and the practical effects are great. The jump scares are on point. The score is phenomenal. So my first horror movie was House, and that was the first episode I did. Ashley's first horror movie.
Was I the second episode?
You were the second episode.
Yeah, so he interviewed me, and we did it like outside.
And we were in our own.
We were in our own pet cemetery that we made. I didn't say that it was Pet Cemetery, but yeah, my first horror movie is Pet Cemetery. I was like 8, and that's honestly, I think, where it kind of started for me. So the love of horror.
It's fun because that was one of the only in-person interviews I've been able to do. I think I've done like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And we were literally sitting out in the pet cemetery we have for all our pets that have passed. And like, I just thought that was a really cool touch to that episode.
Absolutely.
Nice. So when did Ash start officially coming on when you changed it to Sledgehammer Horror?
It was didn't see
that coming.
Yeah, on I was it a
Frailty.
Yeah. Yes, I was so nervous too.
She came up with this idea for a segment called "Didn't See That Coming," because with Sledgehammer Horror, for those of you that haven't seen the channel, we do one segment called My First Horror Movie. That's just me, where I bring on guests, whether it's celebrity podcasters, YouTubers.
God, that sounds fun. I wouldn't mind be part of that.
Yeah, let me know, dude. We'll definitely hook it up, man. And we talk to people about the first horror movie they watched, the effect it had on them, what got them started in the horror genre. And then Ashley came up with this idea for a segment called Didn't See That Coming, where we talk about a horror movie that has a twist ending. And we pretty much do a full-on in-depth review of this movie and then talk about the ending and how it affected us. And in some instances, how it started wars between Ashley and I, like the ending of The Mist.
Yeah, for sure. We have very different.
Yeah, I saw the ending to The Mist, and yeah, that was quite unexpected.
It's brutal.
We have very differing opinions on
we absolutely do.
Whether he was morally right in what he did at the end of that movie. I won't say it for people that haven't seen it. Spoilers.
No spoilers.
And then she came up with an idea for another one called Versus, where we take an original film and a remake and we verse them against each other and talk about the positives of the original, the positives of the remake, things we like about the original that weren't in the remake, things we like about the remake that weren't in the original, and then we verse them against each other,
kind of like
that are similar,
kind of like was it worth making kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of.
Most of the time, no, but
there's a couple I think that you've liked the remake more than the original. Not very many.
Right, Amityville was up there. I like the Amityville horror remake more. But then there's other ones that, like, even though the remake may not have been the greatest in the world, I appreciate a remake. Every single remake I think is special, because even if the remake is not very good, April Fool's Day, I'm looking at you, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. The April Fool's Day remake is so bad.
Is horrible.
People that, they hear about this remake and then they go back and they watch the original. So even if you have a really bad remake, it may show people that have never seen the original film, that original film, and they can get introduced to, like, look at when Halloween 2018 came out, Halloween 1978, the sale, I know it's a requel, it's not a remake, but the sales on the original Halloween 78 jumped like 30%. So people that had never seen this film, or people that maybe had seen it once, wanted to go revisit it before they went and seen Halloween 2018, that happens. So remakes can be super awesome no matter what.
Sounds like that sounds like a really fun segment to do, though. How many different segments do you have on your channel?
Just the 3 right now.
I mean, if you count our because we also do top 10 rankings.
Yeah, we do lives every week also.
We do one live a week. We release an episode every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then we do a live episode once a week as well.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. But
it's a lot.
It's usually like, for me, it's like 2 to 3 every so often, or that's just once a week or twice a week.
Yeah,
just because it's a lot to do.
For sure.
Which actually brings me to my next question. What's it been like? Has it ever been easy trying to get the stuff posted on time? Has there ever been like a time where you didn't get the episode up right away, so you made up for it like the next week or so?
Well, here's the thing about us. We are recording this episode August, what's the date today?
Today
16th?
No, today's the
18th.
Yeah.
My interviews, our Didn't See That Comings and our verses are filmed, edited, uploaded, and scheduled to drop until the end of October.
Yeah, he's very he gets anxiety like if he doesn't have stuff like months in advance already.
So let's just say that, like something happens and I get sick tomorrow. My stuff is already scheduled. If I'm in the hospital, it's going to upload every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the next 2 months.
Right.
And I still try to do at least 1 to 2 interviews a day on top of working a 60-hour work week. And being a father to 3 beautiful, amazing, perfect kids. But it's just like, if you never work a day in your life if you're doing something you love.
Right.
And Sledgehammer Horror is something that Ashley and I, like, I've never been doing Sledgehammer Horror and been like, God, I wish I wasn't doing this right now.
I feel like it's something for us to do together, you know, like something that we can see eye to eye on, because we are very different in a lot of ways. So it's something we can agree on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the people again that don't know, for Wayne's people, you guys were amazing. Thank you for watching. If this is your first time seeing us, Ashley and I have been married since high school. We've been together 17 years, and horror is one of the only things besides our kids that we can agree on that we both love so much. And I think that's what makes us last for so long, is we're so different.
Yeah, for sure.
And it makes you fall in love with that person over and over and over again. It's like 51st dates. Like I wake up like, hi, I'm Ken. You know, like I'm falling in love with this person every single day because we're so different. And then we had the one our first date was to go see War of the Worlds.
It was, yeah.
So I mean, like horror is what, you know, literally started our lives together. So it's something that I think we both are, you know, super, super attached to.
Yeah, and we incorporate it in our lives, and our kids are crazy horror fans too. So.
Got to start them young.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
I got to commend those, and this is no hate. I got to commend those content creators who can do this as a full-time job. Like, I don't know how they do it. Like, I couldn't do that, and I know you can't do that because, you know, it's like you have to like constantly put enough content and make enough money in order to keep on doing that. Right. And I consider full-time content creating a full-time job, because there are content creators who get paid to make content. Like, kudos to that. Kudos to them on doing that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shoot, like I said, we're doing 4 videos a week, and I'm still feeling the drain of it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a lot of work. You put a lot of work into
it. It is, because what people don't get, you know, as a content creator, even my first horror movie episodes, when we're talking about the movie that, you know, maybe someone's first horror movie, as we're talking, let's go with Halloween 1978. We got the original score on cassette tape here.
Oh, by John Carpenter himself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's say someone's first horror movie is Halloween, and I ask them, you know, what was the scene that affected you the most? And, you know, oh, it was when the little boy says, "You can't kill the boogeyman." I put that scene on over top while we're talking, so that way people are watching what we're talking about as we're talking about it. So, you know, even my first horror movie episodes, they take a while to edit because I have to make sure I own the film. I have to get all the clips from the film that I want to talk about. And some episodes have, you know, 40 to 50 clips.
Man, know? So, I can attest to that. I've done that too, because I do a segment called "Was It Worth Making?" And I remember the very first one I did was for the first X-Men film, and that took like 5 hours at least.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because of the guests I had and the clips I had to put in, and not to mention like the comic book facts and the comic book stuff. Like it takes a lot for sure.
Oh,
absolutely.
Well, and then what really stinks is I wish I had one here, but like when Ashley writes a script for like Didn't See That Coming, like this is how we'll do it. You want to talk about how we actually record an episode of Didn't See That Coming, about how we do the writing process?
Yeah, actually, feel free to share that.
Yeah, so we watched the movie again, obviously, and I pretty much write everything, like summarize the movie, and then we go on and talk about.
And as we're watching the movie, like she's writing literally the whole movie, so we can script it out.
I mean, I summarize a lot of it, but I write like the
main plot line,
the main stuff. Yeah.
And as we're watching the movie, we're watching it with the timestamps, and while she's writing, I'm over, and she's like, "Hey, clip." And I'll write down what clip it's going to be and the timestamp on the movie. So when I go in and do my editing, I have a list of, you know, 75 to 100 clips, and then with the timestamp.
I have 80 pages to type up. So.
Yeah, so she'll go and she'll type up her script. And what I love about it is like she throws in not just like you know, what's happening in the movie, but she'll always throw in like fun facts or behind the scenes or director's commentary stuff or jokes. Like one of my favorite jokes that Ashley ever wrote into a script. And she was like, "I think you need to say this joke because it wouldn't feel right coming from me." We did a versus on A Nightmare on Elm Street, the original versus the remake. And this was right at the height of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation. And we talk about the Johnny Depp getting pulled into the waterbed. And the joke that Ashley wrote was the second thing to happen to Johnny Depp on a bed and falls onto the bed. That is an homage to the Johnny Depp, you know, death, which this would have been the third worst thing to happen to him in a bed. But I feel like this one, it paid homage to Johnny Depp's character. And, you know, I just thought that was so brilliant. Like we're reading the scripts because like I don't read the scripts until we go in because I'm such a procrastinator. And I'm reading the script as we're filming, and I'm literally belly laughing at that part. Like I read it and I'm like, and this is the second worst thing to happen to him in a bed. And then I just start belly laughing. So we had to record that clip probably 100 times. And you want to give the story about your shirt? What happened with that episode?
The Cabin in the Woods. Let's just say that YouTube did not want us to upload that one. Like, I don't know how many dings we got for copyright. Like, it took a long time to get that one where it needed to be.
It was really upsetting to me because I felt like as an episode that was written and with all the behind the scenes and stuff that Ashley put into that, and YouTube kept dinging it, and
so
it kept wanting.
It was cut out. A lot of that, what we did, was cut out of it.
Yeah, YouTube can be. You can even with sponsors. YouTube can be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like look at the YouTube series Dead Meat. A good chunk of his stuff he has to show on Patreon because even YouTube is like, no, you can't show that. Even though you have a sponsor, you still can't show that.
Yeah.
And if you guys are fans of the Dead Meat podcast, you can check out our episode with James and Chelsea on our channel where we talked about the first horror movie they watched and how it affected them. So
you guys check that out. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
We are also Michigan folks, like the amazing James A. Janice and Chelsea Rebecca. They are
shout out to them both.
Oh, dude, and it's not just because of the amazing content they create. They're wonderful, man. Mm-hmm. Like I could say that of the big YouTubers, Dead Meat and Cody Leach are the two that are not only inspirations, but the people that I'll call if I'm having a rough time, like, hey, how do you get past this? Or how do you get through all these copyrights? Or what do you do if you're, feeling that dig? Those are the people, Chelsea and Cody are the ones that I really turn to a lot when we're having issues. Like, I need a pep talk here, guys. Like, I love you. Please help me. So, they're two of that Cody Leach and the Dead Meat podcast are not just wonderful content creators. When James says be good people, he lives by his own words.
Oh no, he definitely does. He's a good person.
He is good people. Chelsea is a goddess on earth. They deserve each other because they're just two of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life.
James and Chelsea, I don't know if you're watching this, but definitely you guys are good people. Shout out to you guys for sure. I guess now speaking of since we're talking about kind of celebrities and well-known people, what's it been like having well-known people and celebrities and well-known content creators on your channel to do some of the videos you guys do?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of your segment, so
I mean, like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh well, I seen it. It's so cool, dude. Like, I can fanboy about it now. Like, I try to be super professional when I'm talking to these people, but there are so many episodes I've done that, after the episode's over, like I'm freaking out to Ashley. Like, I can't believe this just happened. I can't believe who I just got to hang out with.
Well, I'm always like, I want to meet him too. So he'll like come down and be like, this is my wife. And I'm like, hey.
Oh, man. I mean,
it's amazing. Like, some of the people, look, and I know you hear this a lot. Like, oh, well, I don't have a favorite episode because they're all great to me. I don't have a favorite episode, dude, because they're all great to me.
No, man, I agree.
But like, there's certain ones like Josh Eppard, the drummer from Coheed and Cambria. Like, he was so cool. He was one of the first big celebrities that I got to hang out with, and we became good friends. Frankie G, he played Saw 2, the big tough guy in Saw 2. He's such a kind soul. And he told me an amazing story for any Saw 2 fans. You want to tell that story about when they were filming in the needle pit?
Amanda was pregnant when he threw him in the and she didn't tell him that she was pregnant, so he wouldn't like.
She didn't look pregnant.
She was just at the beginning of her pregnancy.
Just like getting thrown in there with a bunch of fake needles and.
Right.
Yes, and she didn't tell Frankie because she didn't want him to be gentle.
Yeah, she wanted him to go all in. She was whatever.
Yeah, and he's telling us this story, and we're like, oh my gosh. And my son is this is just to Frankie G's character. My son's a huge Saw fan. Huge Saw fan.
I literally got him a reverse bear trap for Easter. Like, that's what he wanted.
Like the actual prop?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
nice.
Prop.
Yeah. And for his birthday, Frankie G sent him a video message, like, Yo, if you're not good, I'll show up at your house with the bat with the nails in it. You know, like it was just the coolest thing.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy.
Yeah. And then Mark Holton, a more recent one. He played Francis in Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
When I saw like I don't he didn't know he's like I know you're, but what am I?
Yeah.
He also played in the very first Leprechaun movie, and then the actual sequel to that where he reprised his character,
which is the best one in that franchise.
I love that
Leprechaun
one.
Returns.
Yeah, and I love
Best
his
one in the
character
franchise.
in it
Yeah.
too. Like he totally like makes those movies.
Yeah, he does.
I gotta ask, how do you come about for those who are wanting to like have celebrity guests? Because I know from experience, getting hold of celebrities is not easy.
Mhm.
How do you guys come about getting like these people on your channel, for those who are like wondering, how can I get, so and so on my channel to interview?
The best thing is word of mouth. Like I literally will look through their Instagrams, and if they have their emails, I'll email them a pitch, like, this is what I do, these are some of the guests I've had, if this is something you'd be interested in, I would love to have you. And I've had plenty of people tell me, this is not something I'm interested in.
There are you will get those rejections, and you have to like
and
I think I would rather get that than them not saying anything at all. Like that,
Oh yeah, no, I remember.
Just if you don't want to do it, just say no.
I remember when I got a hold of James A. Janice for an interview. It was like, I understand he was a busy guy, so I wasn't like disheartened when he said, "No, I'm busy, I can't." Like, totally understandable. That doesn't mean that they're not interested. It just means they're busy, and eventually, give it time and try to hit them up again to see if they are interested.
Right.
When we were finally able, because like I said, we've known James and Chelsea for a while. We didn't have him on the channel until we were probably a year and a half old, because that's how busy those two are.
For sure.
They're the type of people you have to like get a hold of in advance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We set the episode up like 3 months in advance. And which I respected, I get that. And then I've had, Kyle from Child's Play 2 and the new Chucky series.
Kyle.
She was like, look, she
the gal who actually helps with the new Child's Play series.
The sister.
I can't remember her name, but yeah,
it's Christine Elise.
Yep.
She I hit her up and she hit me back and she was like, look, I really appreciate it, but I don't even remember what my first horror movie was, so I probably wouldn't be a great guest for you. And it was just like, thank you. I appreciate you emailing me back, and I wish you nothing but the best of success in the future. I'm trying to think of like certain guests are just like super, super special to me. And it's just, it's we're on episode number 350. So, I mean, like I said, when we say we're workhorses, like we definitely pull out all the stops. I'll interview, like I said, any type of content creator or any podcast or any celebrity. If someone holds a gaff, I don't care what you do.
You want to talk horror? Come on.
Yes.
I'd like to talk horror with anybody and everybody.
I've never once in my life thought, hey, if I interviewed this person, maybe they'll get me X amount of subscribers, or, oh, I'm not going to interview that person because nobody's going to watch it. I don't give a shit about that. Don't get me wrong. I love the fact that people watch our channel, and I appreciate anybody that takes any amount of time to watch our content. It means the world to both of us. But I've never looked at it as, can this person do something for me? I grew up in a video store, man. My mom and dad owned a mom and pop video store called Downtown Video. And my first horror movie is something Ashley and I have done for 17 years now. When we hang out at parties, we'll sit by the fire, have a beer. Like, yo, what was the first horror movie you watched, man? Like, what was your favorite kill in it? Like, this is something we've always done. And COVID hit, and she was like, wow, I really don't like you. You should find a hobby. And we turned it into a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, when I tell people, when that's like, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing this for you. And if you happen to know anyone who's interested, just spread the word. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all I ask. Is just spread the word and let people know.
Yeah. The horror community is a great community to be a part of.
It's family,
there's so many great people a part of it.
The way I look at it, you don't get rom-com con. You don't get people that spend 3 days trying to cosplay as Ryan Gosling from The Notebook to go to a convention.
I mean, you wouldn't.
I mean, I would. But I mean, you get people that will literally spend their time, their money, their effort into a Freddy Krueger cosplay to go to a convention just to please other people and take pictures with other people. And some of the scariest people in the world, Tony Todd, The guy's fucking terrifying, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to curse.
You
Terrifying.
are allowed to curse on here.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like at this point, I treat it like, for example, one of my favorite horror movies, Trimmers. You're allowed to say one to two F words.
Will you say just a curse word so I don't feel bad?
No, I'm not doing it. You gotta feel guilty now.
Tony Todd is scary. Like, you watch him in Candyman, you watch him in Final Destination. He's a scary guy.
Dude's got a scary fucking voice, but damn, is it perfect.
His voice is like, I would love him to like read me a lullaby or something. It's like soothing.
We met him and we walked up and I shook his hand and he was like, "What's your name?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Ken." He was like, "Ken, you have a great aura around you." And I was like, "I could die right now. I'm good. Like, I've done all I've wanted to do in this life. Sign me out. I've clocked me out. I'm good." But like, I've had one, and I'm not going to share it on the air. I'll share it with you when we're done here. I've had in over 350 episodes and all the cons we've done and even the live episodes, the top 10 episodes, I've had one bad interaction in the horror community. One. And I'll never watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 again.
Oh, we're bringing that up again.
But like, I've had one bad interaction, one bad apple in the thousands of people I've been around in the horror community. And I genuinely love everyone in this community. Everybody just wants to share in the wealth. And, if I have a guest and I think they'd fit great on your podcast, I can't tell you how many times, like, Gory Bits, my boy Gory, like, he's a real one, man. I've got people emailing me like, "Hey, Gory Bits sent me your way," and I'm like, "Oh, Gory, you are perfect." Like, that's what we do for each other, and the horror community is so awesome when it comes to doing that stuff.
Oh, I agree, and not just the horror, but the nerd community in general. Despite,
well, I mean, I don't wear glasses. I'm not a nerd.
Well, I consider. That's one thing I like about doing these. It's fun. Nothing is scripted because I have nothing. I mean, I have this. It's more of a paperweight than anything.
Sure.
I don't use it. Sure. And I have nothing against people who use scripts. Like, I get it's not always easy trying to just come up with stuff at the top of your head. Like, I understand for you guys, scripts are needed, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Ashley's like, "Oh, you don't like scripts, huh?"
No, I know. I don't mind.
The worst part about it is, like, if we're doing a versus or didn't see that coming, and Ashley has spent so much time on the script, and then I just start ad-libbing as I'm going.
Yeah. I'm like, you better get back to my script.
Just like she's just holding a butcher's knife right behind her hand. Like, you better read the dev script.
Hey, Ken, what happened to you? "Oh, I ran into a door. It's fine."
Gotta keep it
just ignore the knife. Blood? What blood? That's it's grenadine for my ice cream treats.
Yes. Great, man. Good one.
So you guys
were saying that the other day.
Yeah,
it's grenadine when we were out at
when we went out to dinner, and Chloe was like, "What?"
My daughter's like, "What are you talking about?"
She did not get it.
I was like, "Don't worry, baby. It's just grenadine."
You got to introduce her to that bad horror movies. It's good, but it's also bad. So you guys attend cons? What's that been like for the podcast?
Amazing. Like, we've gone to cons and we've actually got to meet a lot of people that like come on our lives and stuff that we've interacted with, and
we've
got
gotten
to meet them in person.
We've gotten to make some amazing friends, and since this episode won't air until October, I have your word, this isn't airing until October, right?
This will air the second Friday after Brian's podcast.
Okay. You want to tell them what we're doing for Halloween in honor of two of our good friends? This isn't going to air till October, so we're not spilling the beans.
We are going to be
Carmela McNeil
yeah,
and Michael. They're two of our good friends. They were the doctor and the nurse in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills.
No way.
We're going to dress up as them to honor two of our great friends that are underrated characters in those movies.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
That's pretty cool that your friends were the nice.
Yeah, the nurse and the doctor in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills. Because we act as well. We have a couple different things that on platforms.
Well, thank
Amazon
you for
Prime.
thank you for being also acting guests on this channel as well. So not just are you content
Yeah.
creators, you're acting guests as well. Thank you. So that's a 2 in
Yeah.
1.
Yeah.
Right.
We the first film that we made, it's a short film called Home is Where the Haunt Is. You want to talk about that a little bit?
We pretty much had a weekend. We had this haunted house. It's pretty much a love letter to his mom that passed away 2 years ago. And she lived in a house that a little boy had also died in, so we kind of made her death a fictional movie. But it still has a lot of like closeness to him and I. So yeah.
A lot of what you see in Home is Where the Haunt is very, very real. My mother passed away at the age of 51, just didn't wake up. And she was my best friend. And it really hurt me. And to make it better, I wrote a script about her dying, and we called it Home is Where the Haunt Is.
So it's basically it's an homage to your mother.
It is. It's
sure.
a huge, and there's a lot of Easter eggs. My mom's favorite horror movie was the Amityville Horror. So there's a lot of
the original from the 70s?
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
And then she loved the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So there's a huge Texas Chainsaw Massacre Easter egg at the very beginning. If you've ever seen the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you'll know the scene right when you see it. We did it as a blatant homage. I mean, we ripped it off completely, but in a classy way. I think people, when they watch it, they don't go, "Oh, that's Texas Chainsaw." People watch it, and they go, "I know what you did there." It's a love letter for sure.
For sure.
And then you can watch that on YouTube. Home is Where the Haunt Is.
Link in the description below for anyone watching this. That will be in the link in the description, along with their Instagram and Facebook and other social media stuff.
Yeah.
Welcome.
And then Amazon Prime, it may be out by the time this airs. There's a movie on Amazon Prime called Bride of Killer Pinata, and your boy's in that one. We're very excited for you to see what happens to us in this. And then a TV show called Saint Gabriel. Ashley and I both have a part in that. I can't get too much into that right now because there's still NDAs surrounding where it's going to be streaming at, but it will be streaming on a major platform. So if you follow us on social media, you'll be able to keep up to date with that. And we have a couple more things coming in the pipeline.
So this is the
that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love the cover art.
And I'll tell you this, and this is not me saying this because I'm in the movie. I have the best scene in the whole movie. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. So if you guys see it, it's a face ripping good time. So make sure you're checking out Bride of Killer Pinata. And Ashley's actually working on a new script right now. You want to tell them about the Ofrenda?
Yeah. So it's kind of like Hocus Pocus.
If Hocus Pocus was done today and it was a graphic, scary, for real, sinister horror movie, that's what Ashley's writing right now, and it's called The Ofrenda.
We're both. It's a
joint.
Yes.
In other words, I sit around eating the pizza rolls, and Ashley tells me what she's been working on.
No, not true. No, we definitely bounce ideas off of each other, and I'm like, I really want this in it, and you know, if he says no, I'm like, I don't care what you say, but no,
it's called The Ofrenda because I know you can't tell because I'm whiter than Devin Sawa after he kisses Kat during Casper, but can I keep you? I come from a very Hispanic background, and Hispanic heritage is something that is super, super important to me, and we wanted to put some of that in this film as well. So it does center around building an ofrenda in a cemetery, which you shouldn't do, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
And also forgetting to put a purified salt cross on your ofrenda to purify the bad souls, which you also shouldn't do, ladies and gentlemen. And the ramifications of what can happen if you mix Latin with that and you bring back a witch that is set on revenge in the town of Salem. And for anybody that's never heard the story of Giles Corey, the only male to be persecuted as a witch in the United States, you should look that story up and you'll get a bit of insight into what Ashley's been working on.
Yeah, it's really awesome. We actually learned a lot about him in Salem. We went to Salem last October, and it was freaking amazing. My heart is in Salem. And yeah, we learned a lot about Giles Corey. So
we actually took it as a Sledgehammer horror trip, you know, so we could start working on the script for the Ofrenda. And this is something that I'm in love with it. Like when Ashley started pitching me the idea, I was like, this is brilliant. Like, this is really, really good. And I'm not saying that because you're my wife. I'm saying that because you're brilliant. And this is great. Like, I was mesmerized. Like, wow, babe, I'm so proud to be a part of this with you.
I hear little kids in the background.
Yeah.
So a few things that I'm actually started to bring into these kind of interviews that I usually do on Cosplay Con Talk. And again, you can answer this if you don't want to. What has been your least favorite episode to do? And then what has been your favorite episode to do? I mean, I know everyone will say I don't have a favorite, which is understandable. Feel free to answer that how you guys please do.
I will tell you this. If you look through the catalog of my first horror movie, it has the playlist on YouTube. You'll notice that it's somewhere between episode 200 and 203. The episode doesn't exist anymore. I'm not going to say the person's name. He was a content creator. I did my first horror movie with him, and we found out later on that he was a predator, and he was preying on somebody in the horror community that was close to us, which it doesn't matter whether the girls like our daughter or not important. He was preying on young children, and I couldn't in good conscience leave that episode up in our channel. So we completely deleted that episode, and we never redid an episode in that spot. It just felt tainted to me. This young lady who was young, well below the legal age of consent, he was preying on her, and he was sending her explicit pictures of himself, explicit videos of him doing things that no one should be sending videos of, and asking her for things in return because he's a content creator and she's a fan. And it broke our hearts to know that there are people out there that do these disgusting, vile things.
Because like we thought of him as a friend, and he, on the surface, he seemed like such a good guy, but really behind doors and when other people weren't watching, he was not a good person. Right. So yeah.
And it took a lot of strength for her to come out. She's a scared young lady, and for her to be able to come out and show these videos and show these pictures as proof of what's been happening to her. It happened for over a year before she was able to get the courage to come out because she was so scared. And I can't imagine having to live like that for that long. So just to, we deleted the episode. We have an episode on our channel talking about the whole situation. But it's just something that we couldn't, it's just like, I'll never do anything covering Jeepers Creepers.
You don't need you can leave it at that. I'm familiar with the story.
Yeah. I can't separate art from the artist. So that's another thing that we'll never do. When it comes to a favorite episode, I don't know, like, look, and it is, I do, every episode I do is my favorite episode. I'm serious, but I have a really soft spot for when we do our lives.
Yeah, I like our lives too, especially like the fun ones, like Madness Mania.
Yeah,
like,
Maniac Madness.
Maniac Madness is what we did. Like, that was so much fun, and we should do that again this
year.
Oh,
we will.
Yeah.
We did like a March Madness bracket with our favorite horror villains to see who would win the brackets.
Yeah.
Pinhead.
Samara won it for me.
Pinhead won it for me. But then like every week we bring on different guests, different podcasters will come on, and we'll, our next one we're having, it long past by now, but the Lost River Drive-In, who's a good friend of ours, and Ryan 1988, who's a great friend of ours, we're ranking our top 10 Blumhouse films. And then after that, we have a couple friends that are coming on, and we're doing a franchise ranking of the Final Destination. And then after that, even
second one is my all-time favorite.
The second one, nice.
Yeah.
The second one has a huge plot hole.
I know. I'm familiar with it, but another question I ask, which I'm bringing on here, any like funny experiences you'd like to share? Like, so I ask people if they have like any, as I call it, horror stories, funny moments, embarrassing moments that have been on that, like that are on the channel. Like, if you can remember, like any stuff like that that's like been on the channel, like or like a blooper you've had or stuff like that.
If you watch, by the time this airs, it will be out. Or didn't see that coming on Final Destination 5.
our blooper reel.
Yes, at the end of the episode, I put our blooper reel on there, and she could not say balancing beam.
I kept saying board, and then he would be like beam, and I was like, did I say board again?
And I could not say my company's annual retreat. I could not say it.
We couldn't get past that for whatever reason. I don't know.
It took us probably 25 takes to do the intro to that episode, because every time we do a movie, you want to show them your shirt real quick?
The Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. Every time we do a movie,
I can't really get it.
She has the Cabin in the Woods shirt on.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we do a movie like that, we always purchase the film, obviously, and we always purchase some type of
merch.
It's
merchandise.
it's usually shirts. We have a lot of like action figures. Yeah.
They're called action figures, Mom.
Yes, exactly.
Get it right. Dolls are for girls.
The Final Destination 5 actually won a poll, so we didn't have time to get merchandise. Luckily, we owned the film.
Yeah, so we
dressed up as characters from the film. So, yeah, it turned out fun. And like I said, we actually we've never done that before, but we put the blooper reel in at the end of the episode so people could kind of see the struggle we had trying to make this happen at the beginning.
Yeah.
Nice.
At one point, I almost started crying. I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to say these words anymore. Like, I just couldn't get it right.
See, that's the one thing I like. It's what I encourage in my channel when I do like reviews or certain interviews.
Yeah.
Like the cosplay interviews or movie reviews. I encourage, if they want to, they are more than welcome to dress up. So if you guys ever want to come on for like a was it worth making a review for a horror movie, since you guys do horror, you're more than welcome to dress up for whatever that horror movie is.
Oh, we're down.
Yeah.
Let us know, man.
I love to dress up.
Yeah, we're down. And like I said, if we get to work with any other content creators at any time, we love it.
Mm-hmm.
We love doing this. Like, I love having people on my channel. I love being on people's channels. So when we're done with this, me and you actually set a date and we'll do My First Horror Movie together. That way we can figure out how horror started for Mr. The Unknown.
Oh yeah, definitely. So let's see. Ash, since I've asked Ken a lot of questions, what have been some of your favorite moments on the show? Like for horror moments, funny moments, embarrassing moments, stuff like that. And I guess what's been one of your favorite films to cover on the channel?
I really like the Didn't See That Comings that we do. I'm really into a good twist, especially a twist that I didn't see coming. Obviously the name of our segment. I really enjoy those a lot. They're a lot of work writing it all, but once it's all done and uploaded, like it's really worth it. And I really like doing our lives also.
Of the Didn't See That Comings, which episode would you say is your favorite?
Out of all of them, probably the one that we did on the visit. I really like that one. Yeah.
We did one on Dead Silence, and
yeah, that was a good one.
she did the makeup and everything, like she was a ventriloquist doll.
That makes me cringe when I watch that. I'm not gonna lie.
I remember the first time I saw that movie back in middle school, when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
Dude, that movie genuinely scared me.
Yeah, we were like house sitting for your dad, and we watched it. We were like out in like it was
BFE,
nowhere. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm scared.
That one, and just because I love the movie so much, I love the episode we did on Devil.
Yeah.
I thought you did great on that one too.
Yeah,
the M. Night Shyamalan film, Devil, which I highly recommend to anybody that hasn't seen it.
All of his movies have The Village had a twist at the end. That movie's been out for years, but I know we're not usually talk about you guys do, but the twist for that movie, I was kind of shocked to find out. Oh, so okay, and I was like 8 when I saw that. When I was like 10.
Right.
Yeah. The best thing about the Devil movie is you have the twist of who the killer is, but that's not even the twist of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's another twist that comes after that, and you're just like, no way did that just happen. Like that's what I love about it. Identity was a good one too, the John Cusack film.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah,
I really like that episode.
Yeah, I like most of them.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, I do.
So the last question I usually ask, actually I might as well, one question before another question. Are there any horror movies you're wanting to cover later down the road for Sledgehammer Horror? Like any specific, starting with you, Ken, any specific horror movies you're looking to cover on the channel for any of the segments they haven't covered yet?
I love like a deep dive into The Dark and the Wicked, which I think is the scariest horror movie since The Exorcist. If you guys haven't seen The Dark and the Wicked, it's available on Shudder. We watched this movie like
The Netflix of horror, by the way.
Yes, the best horror.
That's how I came across. Well, I'll tell you guys after, but that's how I came across a certain movie I regret watching to this day.
Well, I mean, The Dark and the Wicked truly haunts me, so I'd love to do a deep dive into that. Or maybe I didn't see that coming into a movie we just recently watched called Predestination, Ethan Hawke film from 2014.
Yeah, wow, that's a doozy.
It takes a lot to really shock me in a movie anymore, and Predestination had me like, no way.
And Ethan Hawke's in it.
And it's Ethan Hawke. So
for sure.
And I would also like to do a deep dive into how maybe the Black Phone, maybe how Finney and the Grabber are the same person. Hear me out. I have my reasons for thinking that could be a supernatural movie. I mean, the phone rings when no one's there. The Grabber hears it. Finney hears it. Maybe the Grabber is Finney in the future. Could be. Hear me out. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it Hear Me Out, the Black Phone.
Okay.
What about you? Is there a movie you'd like to cover?
Well, we're actually going to be doing a versus on the Halloween, and I'm excited for that. I'm not gonna lie. Halloween's my favorite franchise, so yeah, I'm excited to do that one.
Yeah, we're doing a versus on Halloween 78 versus Rob Zombie's.
Okay, well, I guess we'll know which one that you're.
Well, we're gonna do. It's like we're doing a versus on like the most boring horror movie versus like the stupidest.
It's not Friday the 13th.
Stop it.
That one's boring.
You're right. It's not Friday the 13th.
Yeah, because
you're
boring.
right.
Okay.
Jason Goes to Manhattan is probably the one that kind of.
Jason Takes Manhattan doesn't exist. I don't know what you're talking about.
It totally exists.
As James couldn't put it best. I may not be quoting him wrong, but it's more Jason. It should be called Jason Goes to Manhattan.
Jason takes a boat to Vancouver.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Cool. Go Halloween.
Yeah, go Halloween. Thank you. I'm glad you agree.
So the last question, what advice would you want to give to first-time content creators who are like considering on doing into this, whether it's, part-time like what you and I do, or like even full-time like these content creators who have this as a full-time job?
You want to take this one?
I would just say at first it's kind of hard, it takes a while to get yourself out there and to meet new people, and just keep going at it. Like, just keep trying, keep putting your content out there, and people will notice you.
Be genuine.
Yeah.
Don't bite off other people's stuff. Be genuine, be real. If you can collab with other creators, do it. Reach out to other creators, even if you just need advice. You're gonna hit brick walls. Your videos, like the worst thing about being a content creator in the world that we do is there's a lot of people that do it. And you'll make this video and you'll be so proud of it and you'll put it out there and no one's watching it, and it's so easy to get discouraged and get upset.
YouTube is not YouTube is not like how it used to be, where back in the day someone could easily find you in your video,
right?
Yeah.
Even if you're a small-time content creator, your video will get like 1,000 views. Like, I've looked at my old YouTube channel, I'm like, that's like back when YouTube was like picking up, where you can just be small time and you can make it big. Nowadays you're to me, in my opinion, if like just one person views my video, that's not me. It's like, okay, I did my job.
Absolutely.
Just don't get discouraged. It's very easy to get discouraged in this business and just give up.
Want to quit. Just keep going, keep putting your content out there, and you will get noticed.
The biggest thing I can say, honestly, I know I dropped his name already, but Cody Leach, man, like, he was one of the first like big content creators I reached out to that was like, I'd love to do this with you. This is great. And then I stayed in touch with him, like, hey, how do you manage this, or how do you do this, or how do you get through someone commenting at you like this? Because there's a lot of times where I can manage comments, but when people are like, oh, your kid should have been aborted, or, even like with my wife, like, one thing that will drive me bananas is when my wife takes all the time to write an episode, to do everything, all these amazing, perfect things my wife does, and people come on and like, oh, wow, she's hot. Yeah, dude, she is. And I know that, but she's also smart. She's also funny. She's also articulate. She's also hardworking. Everybody knows she's good looking. They have eyes. You know, nobody comes on my videos like, man, Ken, you're hot. Yo, boy, what that mouth do? Like, that shit doesn't happen, you know? Like,
do you want me to comment this?
Yeah, please. Treat female content creators. That's another thing I can tell you. Whether you're a content creator or you're just someone that watches videos and comments on videos, treat the female content creators just like you do the men. They work just as hard. And you know what? A lot of times they have to work harder because they have to prove themselves. Like, oh, you're a female that likes horror movies? At 5 minutes and 18 seconds into Halloween Resurrection, what did the white dude say to the African? Like, what, dude? Like, they get kept so much.
They do. I mean, like, you know, you're not wrong. Female content creators, whether it's like what you guys do or gals on, you know, gamers on Twitch, you know, they work twice as hard because they're trying to be taken as and I've seen a lot of female content creators put men in their place, and it is
amazing,
fucking hilarious,
so good, dude. I was raised by a single mother. I have a wife. I have 2 young girls. I have friends that are females. I have cousins. I have sisters. I'm a human being that looks at women as an equal to a man, as long as my dinner's done on time.
As I always say, you know, if I ever mistreated a woman, I know there's a bunch of women in my life that would come and kick my ass.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's upsetting to see them get gate kept the way they do, and it's not just Ash. You know, a lot of good friends of ours, Kylie, Anna, Celise. You know, and they're always getting. Why did you wear this in your video? Like,
because they fucking they wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, because they want to. That's why.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, get out of here with that, man. And like, some of these ladies are some of the not only amazing people, but some of the best content creators that work so hard on what they do. And then they put out a video and, why'd you wear that crop top? Shut up, dude. Stop it.
Focus on the content.
All of us look stupid.
No, it gives us like for example, for my channel, you legally have to be 18 or older to come onto this channel because there's cursing, there is some adult humor for one, and it also protects me from being like these I'm not saying their names, but if you know, you know. Like, if you want to be on the show, you got to be over the age of 18. That's how it is.
I'm not gonna lie, I've had some very young ladies on my channel talking about their first horror movie, and I had Zoom conferences with their parents beforehand. And when they were on the channel, their parents sat in the room off camera. And I just feel like that's the respectful and responsible thing to do. I
agree.
Yeah, I know my integrity. I know my intentions.
And plus, you're a parent yourself, so you know.
Right. And that's what I would ask. If someone wanted to have a sit down with my kids like this, that's, you know, you're going to talk to me first. I'm going to dig into your background, and I'm going to sit in the room while you're having a conversation with my young child.
Right.
And it wasn't just like young children that were pulled off the streets. Like, these are young ladies, young gentlemen as well, that have been in movies like The Black Phone, the upcoming Terrifier 2, you know, young men and women that are in these great movies that I'm interested to see at a young age how horror started for you. Did it start on the set of Terrifier 2? Well, of course, I love Art the Clown. He's such a nice guy. Well, David Howard Thornton's a nice guy. I agree. Art is not so nice.
No,
you know, but
I've seen that movie too.
Yes, I love
someone.
Terrifier.
That's someone you should reach out to, man. David.
He is such a nice.
If you know him, like I said,
I'll send him your way. Because dude, he's a god of a man. He plays the most terrifying, vile creature on the screen, but David is such a sweetheart. Such a sweet man. He's probably my second favorite celebrity besides Matthew Lillard.
Oh man.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, if I ever hear anybody say a bad word about Matthew Lillard, they're lying.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything bad about Matthew Lillard.
Quick story. I know that you can't be here all night, but
I'm free, so you're fine.
We went to Horror Hound in Cincinnati, and they capped Matthew Lillard's line.
What's Horror Hound?
It's a horror convention.
Man, I need to start going to horror conventions.
Yeah, there's so fun, much
dude.
fun.
There's none here in Oregon.
Well, they capped his line. so no one else could get in Matthew Lillard's line because it got so long and time
Mhm.
constraints.
I got
Well,
you.
Matthew found out, and he got up, went to the back of the line, and started high-fiving and hugging people that were, and walked through the line,
Yeah.
high-fiving and hugging everyone.
Just getting hugged by Shaggy, man. That's just awesome.
Yeah, it was
And dude,
so
like,
awesome.
he didn't have to do that.
Right. He didn't. Nobody else.
He could have been
that.
like, "Hey, that's security. That's not me." But he wanted to meet these people that wanted to meet him so bad. He got up out of his chair, walked to the very end of the line.
So you got hugged and high five by Matthew Lillard. Nice.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's that to me was like, wow, this guy's a hero.
Like, we already had respect for him, but after that, like, our respect for him just went up by 1,000.
Yeah.
So
what an amazing, and again, he didn't have to do it.
Right.
He did it because he genuinely appreciates where he's at, and he loves every person that's made him be where he's
loves
at.
all of his fans.
Never lost his roots, man. I would definitely go to bat for Matthew Lillard. I would die on the hill that Matthew Lillard is one of the most amazing human beings on this planet.
For sure.
Oh yeah, I agree. So any last minute thing you guys like to add before we end this interview?
Keep watching Wayne the Unknown, man.
Yeah,
and also
stay with it.
Be sure to check out when this does come out in the second week of October. Be sure to check them out, and also be sure to check out their Halloween costumes as well.
Yes.
Right. Well, I think that should about do it. Again, I'm Wendy Unknown. I've done this so many times, I always forget like the intro or the outro. I'm Wendy Unknown. Thank you for watching this episode of Geeking Out, knowing that content creator. As always, thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you for watching.